United States has proven time after time that it has no competition in the battle for technological dominance. With its new space hypersonic missile that cost a mind-blowing amount of $57 billion, this nation has set a wide gap between itself and its rivals. But this development goes way deeper than just the lethality of the technology, and this realization has shocked Russia. What impact would this technology have in the world of modern warfare? Why is Russia shocked? Join us as we unveil the $57 billion United States' space hypersonic missile that shocked Russia. To attain technological dominance and maintain its stance as a technologically advanced nation, the United States has invested billions of dollars in the development of advanced technology with unrivaled capabilities. However, this huge amount of investment is not only channeled to the Air Force and Navy alone, but also the Space Force. The United States Space Force has become a very important part of the American Armed Forces. Its duty is to handle all matters related to space within the United States, which includes safeguarding and protecting assets in space. Before becoming an independent uniformed service, the United States Space Force functioned under the U.S. Army from 1982 to 2019 as the Air Force Space Command. This transition to independence, occurring during Donald Trump's presidency, reflects the organizational model of the Air Force. Eventually, the official birth of the Space Force occurred on December 2019. The event marked the United States' recognition of the very crucial role that space would play in modern warfare. We hope never to see the practical application of this, but on paper, the strategic importance of space is unmistakable. As we explore the domain and the strategic importance of the Space Force, it is equally important to recognize its position as the smallest branch of the United States military. The Space Force comprises around 6,000 personnel and 77 spacecraft. This scale contrasts sharply with the Air Force, which boasts more than 5,000 manned aircraft, 46 intercontinental ballistic missiles, and a workforce that exceeds 650,000 military personnel and civilians. It is also important to note that the United States has equally dedicated a significant part of its budget to the armed forces, furnishing the Space Force with access to very advanced technology, equipment, and substantial financial resources. As reported by Defense News, the projected launch cost for the Space Force initially stood at an impressive $2 billion, with estimates suggesting expenses could escalate to a mind-blowing amount of $13 billion by 2024. Moreover, the personnel count is anticipated to increase uncontrollably to 15,000 within this timeframe. These significant financial commitments are directed towards the administration and upkeep of various systems, including GPS, military satellite communications, missile warning systems, space surveillance networks, and satellite control networks. Furthermore, overseeing the intriguing Boeing X-37B reusable robotic spacecraft falls within their purview. Interestingly, the global space economy is forecasted to more than double from the current $450 billion to a mind-boggling $1 trillion within the next 2 decades, which is nothing short of impressive. This increment is proof of the growing importance of space exploration and commerce in the United States military. In March 2020, the Space Force reached an important achievement by launching its very first official mission. They sent a military communications satellite into space using a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket. In 2021, Space Force members known as Guardians completed their first quick response mission by putting the TAC-2 satellite into low Earth orbit. This mission demonstrated their dedication to making the United States more flexible and responsive, not only in outer space, but also in the area just above Earth's surface. The establishment of the Space Force can be viewed as a response to the escalating satellite warfare, particularly amidst the geopolitical rivalry with China and Russia. The People's Liberation Army Strategic Support Force was a part of the People's Liberation Army from December 2015 to April 2024. During the 2015 China Victory Day Parade, Xi Jinping, the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, announced significant reforms to the structure of the Chinese People's Liberation Army and the state security system. On December 22, that same year, the PLA's official newspaper Liberation Army Daily reported that as part of joint military exercises held that year, strategic and logistical support forces, along with intelligence and other high-profile units under the Central Military Commission, participated. On the 31st, the PLA Strategic Support Force convened its inaugural annual meeting at the Bayi Building in Beijing, attended by CMC leaders and heads of the PLA Ground Force and Rocket Force. Chairman Xi Jinping, along with CMC Vice Chairman Fan Changlong and Xu Qiliang of the CCP Political Department, was present, with Fan Changlong reading out Chairman Xi's directives on the formation of the PLA's leadership and forces. Vice Chairman Xu Qiliang chaired the meeting. The following day, Yang Yujun of the Chinese Ministry of National Defense issued a statement describing the new Strategic Support Force as formed through the functional integration of various strategic, basic, and supportive support forces. Rear Admiral Yin Zhuo of the PLA Navy emphasized that the primary mission of the Strategic Support Force was to provide support for combat operations, focusing on gaining regional advantages in space warfare and cyber warfare domains, and ensuring smooth operations. The force's objectives included target acquisition, reconnaissance, daily navigation operations, space reconnaissance, Beidou satellite management, electronic and cyber warfare, and countermeasures. Unlike the PLA Rocket Force, the Strategic Support Force primarily focused on fifth-generation information warfare, with a structure tailored for engagement in the information space, particularly in electronic countermeasures, network offense and defense, satellite management, logistical supply and dispatch functions, influence operations, cyber warfare, and electronic warfare. On July 24, 2019, the government white paper China's National Defense in a New Era stated that the Strategic Support Force have played an extremely crucial role in maintaining national security and developing new combat capabilities, including battlefield environment protection, information assurance and communications security, information security, in testing and integrating emerging technologies. However, in 2013, China showcased a significant advancement in space capabilities with the launch of an experimental satellite named Xi'an, meaning experiment. While the exact nature of the experiment remained undisclosed, Xi'an's maneuvers revealed its intentions. It was observed maneuvering close to a smaller satellite, shadowing it for a period. Surveillance by AGI, or Analytical Graphics Inc., revealed an astonishing revelation. This revelation is that Xi'an possessed grappling arms, enabling it to repeatedly snatch the smaller satellite from orbit and return it. This type of satellite, referred to as an anti-satellite weapon, or ASAT, is designed to incapacitate or destroy enemy satellites, whether for strategic or tactical purposes. While China claimed this capability was for research and space debris management, the unsettling truth remains that they possess operational satellites capable of maneuvering and capturing other satellites in space. Aside from China's Space Force, the Russian Space Forces, also known as KV, are the part of the Russian Aerospace Forces that deal with space. They were brought back after merging the Russian Air Force and the Russian Aerospace Defense Forces on August 1, 2015, when the separate space service ended in 2011. It was established on August 10, 1992, coinciding with the formation of the Russian Armed Forces, making it the world's first independent space force. Initially, it shared control of the Baikonur Cosmodrome with Roscosmos, the Federal Space Agency, and managed the Plesetsk and Svobodny Cosmodromes. However, in July 1997, the Russian Space Forces were disbanded and absorbed into the Strategic Missile Forces. They were revived as an independent unit on June 1, 2001, but disbanded again in December 2011 and replaced by the Russian Aerospace Defense Forces. Following the merger of the Russian Air Force and the Russian Aerospace Defense Forces on August 1, 2015, to form the Russian Aerospace Forces, the Russian Space Forces were reinstated as one of the new military branch's 3 sub-branches. In the past, military focus mainly centered on satellites orbiting Earth. But now things have gone further. Highly developed countries' civil infrastructure relies on thousands or even millions of vital parts. These include things like communication satellites and GPS systems, which are crucial for navigation in our modern devices and weather forecasting. Even though they seem harmless, These things can be used for both peaceful and military purposes. Advanced military nations are aware of this dual purpose, so it's important for them to deal with this potential threat from their enemies' arsenals. This realization has led to the development of ASAT systems. While anti-satellite weapons have not seen combat applications, several prominent countries like the United States, China, India, and Russia have demonstrated their capabilities by successfully intercepting and destroying their own satellites. This showcases their technological prowess and underlines their readiness to safeguard their interests in the ever-evolving space arena. ASAT systems are versatile because they can do many things at once. They can protect against space-based and nuclear threats from enemies. They can also help with the first nuclear attack, defend against enemy missile defense, and provide a way to respond to stronger foes with better technology. In the early 2000s, a big discussion started because of the U.S. Space Security Commission, which was told to talk about this by Congress. They talked about how ASAT systems affect the relationship between the United States and China. The commission worried that China was getting ready to attack a lot of U.S. satellites all at once, like what happened at Pearl Harbor but in space. They thought this could be a way for China to win against the United States, even if they are not as strong. The United States got more worried when China tested another powerful weapon on January 2007. They shot down a Chinese weather satellite called FY-1C, which was up in space at 864 kilometers. They used a missile called SC-19 with a special warhead to do this. This missile is like a modified version of another Chinese missile called DF-21 or CSC 5.3, which has two parts and uses solid fuel. The FY-1C was part of a group of Chinese satellites called Fangyun, which were launched in 1999. Meanwhile, Russia also showed its strength by introducing the kamikaze satellite, officially named Cosmos 2499, in 2014. The satellite, launched on May 23, 2014, from Plesetsk, Russia, rode on a Rokot/Briz-KM launch vehicle alongside three Rodnik S satellites. After launch, it was initially labeled as Object E by the NASA Orbital Debris Program Office until its identity was confirmed. USS PACECOM tracked it under its satellite catalog number. Some reports have suggested that due to its unusual movements, it could be an experimental anti-satellite weapon, a satellite maintenance vehicle, or a space debris collector. Patricia Lewis, a space security expert, remarked that whatever it is looks like an experiment in progress. According to an article on the official website of the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, which congratulated the developers on the successful launch and deployment, the satellite is designed to test experimental plasma propulsion engines, ion thrusters, developed by the JSC Reshetnev Company and the Keldysh Research Center. These engines are part of a new generation of Hall-effect thrusters and are designed to maneuver a spacecraft with much less energy than current propulsion systems. This satellite had amazing skills to move around, allowing it to get close to other satellites and either stop them or break them. At first, the US thought it was just space junk, but then it suddenly started moving close to other satellites. Since satellites can go very fast, up to 17,500 miles per hour, Kamikaze's ability to move hinted at a clear plan. In 2017, Russia went even further by launching another satellite that released a smaller one. This smaller satellite then shot out a projectile. This was clearly a message to Russia. It is not surprising that the birth of the Space Force occurred towards the end of that year. The United States heavily relies on satellites for various critical functions. As of today, they have a staggering 1,872 satellites in orbit, while China follows with 412 and Russia with 176. These satellites are indispensable for monitoring threats, aiding in land, air, and sea navigation, surveillance communications, missile detection, missile guidance, and an array of essential tasks. A recent national laser test conducted in the Persian Gulf demonstrated remarkable success. These laser beams, moving at the speed of light, effectively destroyed targets both on land and in the air. Further tests are underway to improve laser weapons capable of disabling or damaging satellites, whether from the ground or mounted on fighter jets. The Air Force's Self-Protect High-Energy Laser Program, with a budget of $150.5 million, consists of three main parts, focusing on advancements in laser technology for next-generation weapons with virtually limitless ammunition. One promising project within aerial laser weaponry is the Self-Protect High-Energy Laser Demonstrator, which currently exists as a large ground-based prototype. However, the United States Air Force aims to downsize it into a compact pod for testing on F-15 fighters, with plans for integration onto F-16 and F-35 single-engine fighters in the future. If these airborne laser systems prove as effective as expected, it could significantly change the landscape of aerial warfare. Short-range missiles have a relatively low success rate, around 20 to 30%. This is where lasers become important. Even a weak laser could potentially disrupt or destroy the delicate optical guidance systems of incoming missiles with accuracy. Stronger lasers could damage missile control systems or activate warheads thermally. As of June 29, 2023, a significant milestone was reached in space technology, and two main events were celebrated. This celebration includes the United States Naval Research Laboratory's achievement of transmitting 1.5 watts of power wirelessly in space and achieving an end-to-end efficiency of around 11%. This surpasses efficiency goals by more than twofold for a power beaming link operating at a distance of 1.45 million meters. This experiment not only represents the first instance of laser power beaming in space, but also sets a record for the primary battleground. This development calls for the creation of space-to-space weapons. In preparation for these changes, satellites are expected to be equipped with defensive and offensive capabilities, including stealth features, agility, and a distributed defense system. Plans are underway to launch 1,300 satellites, ensuring that even if some are damaged, the overall system remains functional. However, challenges remain, such as maintaining a continuous power source for laser weapons and transmitting laser beams through the vacuum of space, where targeting and tracking objects precisely becomes difficult due to the lack of particles to interact with the laser and create a visible beam. The most powerful continuous wave laser available today has a fascinating backstory that dates back to the 1980s during the Cold War era. It all began when Ronald Reagan became president and delivered an inspiring speech that highlighted the nation's ongoing fight against oppressive regimes. In this speech, he announced an ambitious space program that was aimed at bringing weapons into space, with a focus on creating a missile shield to protect the United States from enemy intercontinental ballistic missiles. Building on this vision, the Russian Polyus-SK spacecraft, ominously named the Red Death Star, was developed as a space-based laser system intended to unleash its firepower against potential adversaries during a conflict. This concept marked the beginning of a new era in warfare, often referred to as the Star Wars era, and represented a departure from the original goals of the space race, which had focused on scientific exploration and détente during the late 1970s and early 1980s. The development of Polyus-SK raised the possibility of space-based weapons, including concepts like Skyf, a laser cannon in orbit, and Cascade, a weapon designed to neutralize enemy satellites by launching missiles from another orbiting craft. The Polyus spacecraft was launched on May 15, 1987, from Baikonur Cosmodrome Site 250 as part of the first flight of the Energia system. But unfortunately, this technology did not make it to space. Before Polyus was launched, Mikhail Gorbachev, the leader of the Soviet Union, visited the Baikonur Cosmodrome and said they couldn't test its abilities in space. He was worried that other countries might think they were trying to make weapons in space, which would go against their peaceful intentions. Due to technical problems, the payload was launched upside down. It was supposed to turn around and boost itself into orbit after separating from the Energia rocket. But when it separated, it spun too much and ended up burning up over the South Pacific Ocean because the engine fired at the wrong time. This happened because the guidance system was not tested well enough because they were in a rush to build and make it operational. Some parts of the Polyus project were used in other space projects like Cavant 2, Crystal, Spectre, and Priroda Mir modules, as well as in ISS modules Zarya and Nauka. Although the project ultimately failed, it brought attention to the idea of space-to-ground weapons, which remains a concerning prospect. Currently, there are no such weapons in development, thanks to an international treaty that prohibits their deployment. This treaty is essential given the potential consequences of space-based warfare. However, with this increased investment in the Space Force, the United States might just be staring right ahead at a dawn of space supremacy. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.